Hello again.
Howdy ho, my friend. It is September 19th, and today's topic is flexibility of the will.
Okay, excellent. I have a good recent I can apply to a recent story of mine or experience. Very good.
Okay, it begins with a quote by Marcus. Remember that to change your mind and to follow someone's correction are consistent with a free will, for the action is yours alone. To fulfill its purpose in keeping with your impulse and judgment, and yes, with your intelligence. Okay, interesting. So he's applying this to the situation of following someone's correction. And so I think what that means there, maybe, is when we receive a piece of feedback from somebody else, and that person is like, hey, please do this differently to make my life better. And it can be really hard to it can be hard to get to the place, I could do it, but it can be hard to get to the place where I'm doing it and I feel like I chose to do it and not like I was manipulated to do it.
Right.
So, but obviously I'm choosing to do it. There's just this ego pushback that's like, why should I be the one to change? So now he's saying that remember that to change your mind and to follow someone's correction are consistent with a free will. Are consistent with a free will. Just like if I make that correction, I'm doing it out of my free will.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, even if you do the correction for not the wrong reasons, but let's say somebody points something out, right? And you're like, well, I'm not gonna change because of that, right? Or you say, oh yeah, I noticed that it's true, yeah, and you don't change it, or you eventually change it, right? So it's like you have these three different options.
But you can change it for multiple reasons. I change it because I feel manipulated. I change it because I agree with what you said.
Yes. But ultimately, if you go do that, you chose it.
No matter
which ways you chose it. So, and it doesn't feel good when we choose it because we're forced to the choice.
Well, we think we're forced to the choice.
We think we are forced to the choice. Yes, we think we are forced.
And that's what he's saying here. We are not forced to the choice. This is a free will thing, and it's consistent with our free will to say, okay, I'm going to do this, even though it feels like I'm being forced to.
Yeah, but forced means not that you don't have a choice. But forced to means you didn't choose, you weren't really in on it, and now you have to go do that. And if you say, I don't do that, then you have an option, but the option is more severe than you doing it. And so now you're saying, okay, I'm gonna go do this thing that I was not part of, I was not consulted on, nothing, this is just being forced down my throat, and I feel like I don't have a choice except go do it, right? And you're saying, well, you do have a choice, you could not do it, yes, but the consequences of not doing it are so much larger than the pain of doing it, then it feels like I'm forced. Right, but even though I understand, I'm choosing it.
Right. I get that. I experience that too. I'm just saying that in that scenario, that if I'm feeling like I'm not a part of this is being shoved down my throat, what I'm thinking in my head is I'm being manipulated into doing this thing, and I'm not owning that this is my free will and it's my choice and I take 100% responsibility. I'm sort of a little bit mad that this other person or these other people are doing something to me. That's what it feels like. And I'm like, no, I don't wanna. But the I don't wanna is against this idea of free will. Because if I'm doing it, I decided to do it, I take ownership of the fact that I did it, I own that 100%, I can then no longer say, I don't wanna. I'm only saying I don't wanna because I haven't accepted that that is my choice that I made out of my free will. I'm still attaching it to the other people pushing something on me or something like that.
Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, it's hard to apply to my scenario, but I can see how that could work in some other scenario. You know what I mean? Yeah. Yeah, because yes, you have a choice, and then once you say, okay, this is a really hard choice. I don't want to go through these consequences, so I'm gonna go do that. So then, yes, from that point on, it is a choice, and now I should treat it as I chose this, and now I should have a better relationship with it. What versus keep doing that thing. Let's say it takes 3 weeks to do. The 3 weeks, I'm gonna every day remind myself how I don't want to do this, how I hate doing it, and so doing all of that because I didn't like that choice, right? But so maybe this is like, no, hey, I have to do it. Okay, I hate this. I'm gonna go do this. Okay, fine. Well, that fine also needs to be, okay, I'm gonna need to like this now. I'm gonna need to like this. I'm gonna have to have a change relationship with it because I chose to do this. How am I gonna look at this positively? Like there has to be some sort of a session with myself to go, I gotta change my mind about how I was looking at it. The choice was here, choice was made. Now I'm in it.
Yeah.
Now I gotta have a different relationship than the not one. It's essentially disagree and commit, but the commit has to be you have to go all in on commit.
And you can't perform
Like, yeah.
commitment externally. You could, but then your experience is you're telling everybody else that you're cool with this essentially, but internally it's a freaking nightmare.
Right,
and nobody knows about that nightmare.
Nobody knows
so
about
now
that.
you're like separating yourself from the people and
So it's a better thing to do is to change that relationship and maybe spend that time when I'm thinking about how horrible this is every time I think about it. I say no, this is great. I'm good. I committed to it. I'm on my path. And now what could I spend the time thinking about? Maybe I should think about how I don't get to these places again where it feels like I have to make a hard choice and then going to do something that I would rather not do, let's say, right? So how do I not get to that place again? Maybe I need to set expectations ahead of time so I don't actually get there, or put some boundaries around of something so I don't get into situations where things just appear in front of me and now I'm forced to make a decision, or I have to make a decision, and the decision is between something really dramatic or something. Just do something for a couple of weeks that you might enjoy that much, right? So yeah.
And I don't know how practically you could go about doing figuring out how to not create this situation again, because the situation is made up of components you do control and components you don't control.
Maybe that's not what I'm saying. Maybe that's just what I said. Not get to the situation again. No, what I'm trying to say is think about the variables that got me into that corner where I felt like I had no choice, even though I did. I had a hard choice, right? It's how did I got myself, was there anything else I could have done to learn from it, or being more analytical about the whole thing versus critical about the whole thing?
Yeah, I could see the value in almost kind of a retrospective, for example, and then also as an ongoing thing of it seems something that just popped into my head was like, maybe it's about learning how to play differently in this new world that I'm in. So it's like I don't like the decision. I make the decision anyway. I learn how to commit to it, like really commit all the way deep inside of me. And now I'm in a place where I can freshly move forward into this new world and be like, okay, what's my play here? Reality is now this. What's my play in this reality? Because as long as I haven't committed, I'm not playing in that new reality because I'm bitching about it.
Yes, 100%. Exactly. You cannot be doing something else when you are occupied with
the bitch fest, the internal bitch fest.
So you cannot do analysis when you're doing criticism in some other. You cannot be interested and say, hey, how does this really work? I really want to understand it. You cannot be doing that while you're saying, oh, I also really hate this. Like, it would be very hard, right? Because it's like that's conflicting, right? So we need to commit before we start going on that analytical route, and we never will get to that analytical route until we accept it, because we're going to be hating it, and therefore it will never actually work. Now, that short period of time passed, and we might be finding ourselves in similar situations because how we were unable to commit and go learn and do all of doing it differently, just a little differently, like just a little, like this time I'm going to take the fork to the left a little bit, yeah. And again, to your point, all those forks are different, so they all have to be reevaluated and all of that. But yeah, good stuff. Ryan time?
Let's do it.
Cool.
Ryan says, when you set your mind to a task, do you always follow through? It's an impressive feat if you do. But don't let yourself become a prisoner of that kind of determination. That asset might become a liability someday. Conditions change, new facts come in, circumstances arise. If you can't adapt to them, if you simply proceed onward, unable to adjust according to this additional information, you are no better than a robot. The point is not to have an iron will, but an adaptable will. A will that makes full use of reason to clarify perception, impulse, and judgment, to act effectively for the right purpose. It's not weak to change and adapt. Flexibility is its own kind of strength. In fact, this flexibility, combined with strength, is what will make us resilient and unstoppable.
Amazing. Yeah, there was popping up there's that like old saying about like the something hard and brittle, or like hard and stiff. The hard and unflexible will break, versus the flexible and strong will continue to adapt to where it is not the strongest, right? It's adapting to away from its breaking point. Yeah. Like a bamboo, right? Like a wind is coming. So if for some reason it was want to stay there structurally, that's when it breaks.
Yeah.
But by bending, it kind of adapts to. It goes into the lower pressure point of all of that, right? It adapts. It says no, this is very pressured. I can adapt, and now I'm fine with this, and maybe soon I will recover to where I need to be, right? It's all, nothing lasts forever, right? So it's also keeping that in mind is helpful, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Yeah,
flexible, strong, and if we are if we need to flex or pivot, that's a very big strength, like he said, yeah, that's a huge strength, because there's a lot of resistance to change and to pivot out there, right? And of course, yeah, we're people of habit, so yeah, that's having the ability to pivot or adopt is a huge thing for sure.
Yeah, because essentially, like, in movement, the combination of strength and flexibility is stability. And stability is the reason why you don't get injured. So a more stable ankle will be able to survive falling off a curb, and a less stable ankle will sprain itself or injure itself in some other way. And so it's always like our task as humans with bodies is to increase our stability over time so that we can age well and we can just be well in the world. Like, we have more options available to us the more stable we are. And so this is just like the psychological equivalent of that. How many different situations can I be in and still be cool about the whole thing?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. I get tested about that stuff all the time.
I mean, we all do.
Yeah,
like, that's what life is, you know?
Yeah. I find my boundaries.
Well, a lot of times you find your boundaries by crossing them. Either you cross your own boundaries or you let other people, and that's...
Yeah. I'm on that line all the time. I guess we all are, of course, but yeah.
Yeah.
Fun. Good to see you.
Good to see you. Have a good one. See you tomorrow.